Hey you, welcome to another comic time-lapse video. This is a page I actually want to talk about because it gave me some challenges and I think it's important to talk about those challenges. I really like this page, and maybe it's because of how I set it up or because of the struggles I did have with it. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about that. I am not sure if every comic video will be narrated, but for pages like this, I think I might. I guess it just really depends if I have anything to say about the page or not. Some pages I don't have anything to say about. So, we start off with this panel. It gave me lots of struggles because I had to make sure it didn't look suggestive. Sometimes when some people look like they're in distress, sometimes they don't look like they're in distress, if you know what I mean. So this was my first challenge, is getting this expression right. And I tried a lot of things. So in this page, Skit and Mact have decided to go on without Heb to try to save this lady that has disappeared. Heb does not want to go because he is scared. His crewmates jump down a hole in the ground, and he doesn't want to go. And so this is the panel where he's accepting that he has to follow them, even though he doesn't want to. He's getting himself ready to take the plunge. And that's all it's supposed to be. So I'm sorry that it looks a bit funky, but as you can see with my little face in the corner, it isn't how I want it to be yet. But we'll eventually get there. Yeah, I thought about adding a little cloud there, but I think I take it out eventually. So this is where you see that I am defeated for now, so I'm going to go work on something else until I can figure things out. Which happens a lot. Sometimes I will bash my head against the wall and then decide, well, the only way to fix this is to take a break and come back later. Some things I can muscle through, and it turns out okay, but typically it's best practice if I just leave and come back. This is the other panel that gave me struggles. You'll see throughout the video, but I think I redrew this panel about 3 times before I was happy with it. Before it got close to what I was picturing. I still don't think I got it exactly how I wanted, but I definitely got closer the 3rd time around. And sometimes thumbnail drawings are better than the end result. Look at that Heb back there. Being so upset at Skit. I should have just kept his face like that. I don't know, maybe I need to start keeping my favorite thumbnail drawings and just have a compilation of those. Because sometimes they're very funny. To me, at least. So here we are, drawing Skit. He is the first one to jump into this hole in the floor. Where it goes, nobody knows. But I had to also make sure that it was big enough for Skit to actually fall through. Here's the first upset Heb on the page. What do I do next? Do I erase it? Or do I do it again? that it's so detailed. And this isn't the one that I ended up with. Sometimes that happens. I also love making Heb's ponytail poof out when he's upset. I try to add some speed lines. This is another video I recorded a long time ago, so I am also reacting in real time now. I did this page so long ago. We're all the way into issue 14. We're about a third of the way through issue 14 at this point. Oh, I do like this panel a lot. This is definitely a panel I had an easier time with. But I appreciated that Macht worked out so well, because sometimes he just don't, you know? You draw a character 1,000 times, but sometimes it's still not right. But in this case, this was very much, this is a Macht right here. But for some reason, I had a lot of troubles drawing Heb in this issue. I'm not sure why. Well, I can probably guess why. There was a lot of starting and stopping in this issue. Not because that's what I wanted, but I had other things with clients going on. I was sick a lot in the winter months. So, oh, and then I was away in Japan during one of those months. So there was a lot going on in this issue. Yeah, there we go. One of those eyes was working, the other one was not. Sometimes it's hard to make them look in the correct direction. Yeah, that's not a Heb mouth, but we'll see if I fix it. I don't remember. I remember going back and fixing it in post, but I don't know if I will do that in this video, but we'll see. In this panel, Macht is saying, "Alright, good luck. I'm going after Skit. Goodbye." And Heb's a little caught off guard. I do like drawing Heb's hair, even though I get it wrong a lot. Oh, that cranium. He doesn't have enough... He doesn't have enough head back there. That's a little better, but he needs more cranium up top and in the back. I have been learning from my mistakes lately. There, that's a better Heb mouth. But the Heb head itself, his head is too small. He needs more head in the back and a little up top. Do I just have Hebs or Macht smack him on the back? Can't remember. Well, that's a weird angle. There we go. That makes more sense. Good job, past me. Yeah, don't try to cram your anatomy, because it's not going to make sense. There we go. I figured it out, everybody. I did it. There we go. See, we're getting there. This is what art is all about. And thankfully, doing digital art makes it a bit easier to correct as you go. Guess what? I also struggled with this part. Not so much pose-wise, but again, Heb's face, I just couldn't get the right expressions. I might need to do some expression exercises for him, just to see how consistent I can get. I do like this panel, though. I like this whole page, so... Now he's leaning over the hole, yelling at his crew. To no avail. Yeah, you gotta have the face lines. His face is stretching. And he's grumpy. Oh yeah, I definitely fixed this face later. Because I didn't want him to necessarily be pissed. I wanted him to be more, you know, scared and upset rather than pissed. His nose is a little too big. I do that a lot with noses. I'll make them just a little too big. And then I gotta shrink them. Here, this time I gave him enough cranium, but not... yeah, that's enough cranium. At least that's what it seems right now. But yeah, I realized later, this isn't the expression I want. So yeah, I basically redrew this page a few times. I think even the bottom panel, I had to work at it a bit. But this issue was a lot of fun to draw. I won't spoil anything, even though those pages are already out and issue 13's complete. You should go read it. There's links in the description to where you can read Crown and Anchor for free, and where you can also buy books and PDFs. But yeah, I wonder if, you know, if they had just stayed out of this derelict ship, how would the story go? Would they have known any better? Would they have made a difference? Oh yeah, this is where I get to add the unnatural, would you call it sea floral, sea fauna, to the background. That was also a lot of fun. The sea is full of very beautiful and very uncanny things. Especially barnacles. Barnacles, anemones, worms. Coral are just sea trees, but they're not... It's not just one thing, it's a bunch of things, right? They're a bunch of little pieces put together. Barnacles are these little bugs that live in this shell that they somehow make themselves. I don't know if you've ever seen a barnacle open up and seen what's inside, but it is very alien-like. It's very strange. Anemones are another thing where it's kind of like you are alive, but you don't seem alive. You just seem like this plant flowing in the breeze, the sea breeze. But they're alive. They're just these little membranes with sentience. I mean, to a point, I guess. It's very fascinating. Alright, this is the other panel I struggled with. Every single panel I realize now was a struggle. But with struggle comes learning and experimenting, and I mean, it comes with failure. But failure is how we learn. And failure can look like a bunch of different things. Sometimes failure is very jarring, and it's not a pleasant experience. Otherwise, failure is just a quiet moment of, oh, that's not how this is supposed to go. Or that little epiphany of, oh, I know how to fix this, because it's not working. So it doesn't always have to be this terrible thing or this embarrassing or shameful thing. It's just a thing that happens. But yeah, there's no shame in failure. It's just an opportunity for us to learn and grow. I think I grew a little bit from this page, but not by much. I still make pretty bad art sometimes. And the other half of that is sometimes I just don't know how to fix something, but it needs to be done. So, you know, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be finished, because if it's never finished, you know, you're just kind of damning yourself. You're holding yourself back. There's no growth, no progression. So it's better to move forward, knowing that you can do better, and that you want to do better and will, than holding yourself back because you can't perform at a level that you're not at yet. So you gotta take the time to fail. Gotta take the time to learn from your failures. So you can see my failures all over this page. And I realize they are failures. But I had to take a break and do something else for a while in order for my brain to come up with a way I could fail less or draw a little better. Or maybe not necessarily better, but just draw how I want. Oh no, do I go to inking already? Oh no. Why did I go to inking already? There's so much that needs to be fixed. I am glad I fixed this Heb face. I think I might have skipped some footage. Sometimes I'll finish streaming or finish drawing or recording and I'll go, no wait, let me do this really quick. And so I'll do it really quick off camera. But this was a better face. Less suggestive, more just or here we go. I hope that didn't sound terrible in the microphone. Sorry. I think I mostly keep this particular panel intact. I think I just change his face a little bit, or his hair a little bit. But we'll see what happens. I don't remember everything Pastelaire does. Because I simply cannot remember. I'll be asked to do something, and about 30 seconds later I forget what that is, and I have to be reminded. That comes from, you know, years of phone usage and receiving dopamine in unnatural ways, so... you know, sometimes you need to take a break from screens and let your brain fix its fried wires a bit. Because it will help. So yes, I'm doing black on black, but I will go over that in white later to make it stand out. Gotta get all the deets. I think he has enough cranium, but I might have given him too much hair on the sides. They're not quite bangs. Are they still bangs? No, bangs are directly in front, I think. Alright, then we take all that and go bonk. Yeah, there we go. I like my texture brushes. I have... If you don't count the screen tone brush, I have 3 that I like to use. Maybe 4. Yeah, I think it's 4. Oh yeah, my scratchy brush. I love adding the scratchies when it's dark. Feels so good. Adding some texture. I like texture. That's also another thing I should learn to do more of, are different textures. And implied texture. Gotta work on that. Implied texture is kind of like when you look at a cobblestone road, it's just all cobblestones, right? But if you draw every single cobblestone on your cobblestone road, it might look a bit messy and clunky. But implied texture is when, let's say your subject is standing in the middle of that cobblestone road. You could start drawing cobblestones from one side, but as they get closer or bigger, you know, the nearer they are to your subject, they kind of disappear a bit. So not only does it help your subject stand out, but you also understand, oh yeah, this is a cobblestone road because look at the texture. If that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. But implied texture can be done so well. And sometimes, you know, it's not quite enough. But yeah, that's implied texture, is implying that there is texture, even though it is not necessarily painted or drawn in full. There we go. Look at that. The inks make all the difference here. That contrast is important. I think that's why I like a lot of especially shoujo manga, because of their use of contrast and their use of screen tones. I don't have anything against shoujo manga, but with my preference, it's a bit too clean. The screen tones are a bit too light. But that's not every shoujo that's not every shoujo. And not every shonen has great contrast either. But the ones from when I was a teenager seem to have like really good contrast, really good screen tones. But there were a couple of shoujos that had really good screen tones and really good contrast. I don't know if you'd consider Dian Angel a shonen or shoujo, but that one had really, really good contrast and tones. Trying to think of others, but eventually Jing King of Bandits, Twilight Tales had just incredible screen toning. That was one of the first manga I ever read. Every character was named after an alcoholic beverage, even Jing. He's supposed to be Jin. But you know, English translations and all. Very strange, very nonsensical at times, but very interesting. Oh, and a little bit pervy. Why did so many manga have to be pervy? But other than that, especially Twilight Tales, it got significantly less pervy and just more artistic and symbolic. But I believe that was his true art style, was in Twilight Tales. In the first series, he was very cartoony, very funny. The humor is what attracted me to it the most. There was the Masquerade books, the Masquerade Coliseum books in the first series that was like perfect. It wasn't pervy, it was funny, it was sweet, it was really cool. I liked it a lot. Twilight Tales, I pretty much liked every book. It just ended so abruptly, and I have no idea what happened to the mangaka. Like, I think he just disappeared. But I loved those books so much, and Twilight Tales especially. I would dog ear so many pages, because I'm like, I want to draw like this, I want to draw this, I want to practice this. I have since given away those books, but I'm kind of tempted to rebuy the books that I liked and just keep those as references, because those were the ones I'd go back to over and over and just look at. They were so pretty. There was the I don't know, the cooking one, the cooking sacrifice one, that was really good. there was maybe 1 page of nudity, which was very tame for him. There was the music one. No nudity, by the way. It was so cool. But yeah, like, that book especially made me, like, really love screen tones, because they just looked so beautiful. So yeah, as you saw just a second ago, I added another panel because I felt it would have communicated better that Mac also jumped through the hole. Alright, so this is my second attempt at the skit panel. I feel like this pose worked better and didn't look so weird. But is it gonna stick around till the end? We'll see. So yeah, I like went through and inked half this page and was like, nope, I gotta stop, I gotta fix. As you can see, I like that thumbnail of Heb as well. How far do I get through this drawing before I give up? We'll see. Oh, I'm also... Oh, one thing I struggle with a lot is shoes. Because I'm like, how much of this should be showing if it's at this angle or that angle? I never know. I also don't know if I designed the bottom of his shoes. I certainly tried, though. I tried my darndest. And, yep. That is the bottom of a shoe, I think. I think it turned out okay, except for the shoe. And I think that other leg that I'm drawing could have been a little bit, maybe a little bit farther back. Like his leg is bent further back. But I don't think the pose was terrible. I don't think it's what I ended up with, though. Anyways, I love good screen tones. I really do. And the manga I read as a kid was very influential. Even though I didn't do screen tones, I did do my own shading. I made my own comics in lined notebooks. These little miniature ones. 5-Star had these small notebooks that were perfect for making manga in, other than the lines themselves. But I got so many of those. It was like every 3 months I'd get a new one, because I'd fill it up. I'd fill it up with my characters, or, you know, video game stuff, comic stuff, fan art stuff. Because I eventually wanted my own characters to be in a comic. Not that that really went anywhere, but it was fun. And my friends were into it too. I'd come in with a new notebook, and it would have a new, like, symbol painted on the front. And the symbols meant different things. My friends would be very excited when they're like, "Ooh, you got a new one! This one looks cool!" I had very good supportive friends. Look at those hands. I feel like the hands look good, but they're also too small. Learn from me. Yeah, so I wouldn't use screen tones because we didn't have the internet, and I didn't live in Asia, so screen tones were out of the question. I also think they would have cut through notebook paper very much, and it would have been a huge waste of money. So, oh, am I thinking on this page? What am I thinking about? Excuse me, panel, not page. What am I thinking? I don't know what I'm thinking. Okay. Okay, I'm continuing. I must have been looking up a reference or taking a break. Anyways. Yep, there. I made that leg slightly smaller, but not small enough. I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm deciding. Here we go. I'm fixing. There. I'm gonna try to tell a story and talk about this page. There we go. We're fixing this face again. Nyeh. Oh, poor Heb. I thought about him just keeping one eye closed and being all like, no. Which, that could have worked. Maybe I should have gone with that one. But I didn't. Now he looks like he has a squishy face. Oh, now it got squishier. Don't worry, I'll get there. There is hope. So something I did that didn't seem to be common in my friend group was shading. I didn't use shading sticks or blending sticks for the longest time. I used tissues. But they had to be soft tissues. They couldn't be like the one-ply, really scratchy tissues. They would not work. Space. And I had pretty good results. And, you know, the more I practiced with them, the better I got. Until I eventually transitioned to just normal sketchbooks, you know. White paper. I started getting Strathmore sketchbooks every like 6 months or so, because I would fill those up with drawings and fan art and stuff. But yeah, I would draw it, I would shade it, and then I would erase the parts that didn't need to be shaded. It was fun. I eventually got blending sticks for like the really tiny areas. I didn't do line weight or line thickness back then, but if I had known about that, like, I think a lot of my art could have looked really, really good for a teenager. I'm telling you, I struggled with this face so much. So much. How many redraws are we at? I don't even have a redraw counter. There, I fixed Heb's expression here. And it is much better now. It is less angry and more just, he's yelling to them, he's shocked, he's nervous, he's... yeah. All of those things. I think his ponytail's up a little too high, but it's not a bad thing. Yeah, there we go. Now that panel's looking good. Now it's ready for inking. Yeah, much better. Something I always try to do, but is maybe not necessary. Sometimes when we, you know, close our eyes or squint our eyes, or, you know, we're facing the side so people see our profile. Like, our eyes just... they just become slightly different in shape. And sometimes it's hard for me to work with that without it looking too different, or what I feel is too different. But like profiles, we look very different in our profiles than straight on or even at 3/4. Even at 3/4, like if our eyes are looking a certain way, it is going to change the shape of like our eyelids and such, just a little bit. Excuse me. And then with lips as well. Like some people have, you know, some people have like a straight line, some people have, you know, some curves or a point in the middle or something. Mouths have different shapes. They have a different line. Sometimes when that mouth opens or stretches or is upturned or downturned, because we're stretching all of that, it can also change shape. And that's another thing I am trying to do better at is keeping the shape, but understanding it's going to be stretched or modified a certain way because of an expression. Oh, we're back to Heb. Oh, man. I went through so many things. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for everybody. That one's not bad. Did I go with that one? It's not terrible. It's not my favorite. So yeah, just being consistent while also doing different expressions can be a challenge for me. Oh, look at that. I'm inking it. It must be official. It must be staying. Look at that. I must be happy with it. You'd think so anyway. Ta-da! Wow, look at that. Another distressed Heb, another Mac just hanging out. Yeah, and my action lines aren't chunky enough. I get out my scratchy brush. Or if I want to blend darkness and light together, use the scratchy brush. How's this page looking? Oh, we're back to Heb. We're back to Skit. Goodbye. Oh, it's so agonizing. But it had to be done. It had to be done. That's not a bad pose. I don't think I used it, though. The forgotten pose. Sometimes in comic panels, you need to... I mean, always give space for lettering in comic panels. If you don't, your art's going to be covered up. And if you get the art back and the panel's too small and the art's too big, you're going to have to cut down on what goes in those word balloons. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. But the same thing with art. You gotta... Sometimes you can take up lots of space, and that has a purpose. It can be used to make the audience uncomfortable, or make it jarring, or, you know, have something super detailed. Otherwise, give them space, let them breathe. You know, this pose is very similar to the first one I did, but the difference is that there is room to breathe. Oh, I think I drew him a bit too small. Look at that. Look at his big arms. He's so big. I'm drawing him so small. I think this is the pose I went with. I can't remember. I also don't want to open up the page and look. I want to be surprised. I feel like I've seen this page so much, but I just, you know, see it in passing. I'll be looking for something else and go, yep, there's that page. Arms. Yeah, that's better. Good job, me. Yeah, make him a bit bigger, because that leg, even though it's really close and should be big, sometimes it can be too big. I think this is the one I keep. It seems right. It looks better. fix his butt. There we go. Although I think I have to fix that foot, because I don't think you would turn your leg or knees or foot in that direction if you were jumping straight down. Because landing on that seems like a bad idea. If you jump off something you land not correctly, it's not going to feel good. I say not correctly, but I should have said incorrectly. Gotta do the laces. Look, it's a shoe, and it doesn't look terrible. Sneakers are one thing. I get the idea of sneakers fairly well, because that's like all I drew growing up, but when it comes to dress shoes, I just go, this doesn't make sense. How could a toe fit in here? How could feet fit in these? Oh, speaking of toes, that toe needs to be longer. Oh, now! Why don't I fix it? Help! Call the art police, help! Anyways, his Skit's right foot that you see that's turned the wrong way. The toe needs to be longer. Oh, it's too short! Because our feet are about as long as our forearms. So from our elbow to our wrist, that's how long our foot is typically. There, this is a pretty good heb. Oh, come on, self, fix the foot. It's okay, if I don't fix it in this video, I will fix it before, you know, we kickstart it. Yeah, that's a much better heb face. Not so scrunchy. He can be scrunchy later when he's, like, enraged, but yeah, that's a good heb face. I got the eye shape correct. His mouth is fine. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I keep that mouth. Yeah. Yeah, that looks much better. Look at that. He's concerned. He has a big concern right now. He doesn't want to jump down the hole. His crew is down there, though, and he doesn't want them to die. He needs to be there for them in case something happens. Even though the other two are pretty capable, you know, he almost lost Skit once. I don't think he wants to attempt that a second time. Yeah, I think having a more concerned face was the right way to go. Line thickness. The closer something is to us, the thicker the lines will be. Because in real life, living things or just objects don't have lines. So I use line thickness to help separate shapes from other shapes or from background or foreground stuff. But typically, the closer a subject is to us, the audience, the thicker lines they need to have to separate them from the background or to separate them from details. Or make those details stand out. Kind of groups details together in a way. Yeah, this is a good page. I really like this page. I like how it turned out. And that's why you shouldn't give up on things entirely. I mean, there are times and places where, you know, that's fine too. But if you're working on an art piece and it is kicking your butt, but you really like it, you want to finish it, just take a break. Take a break and come back. It's not going to go anywhere. And you know what? Social media isn't going to go anywhere either. No one's going to forget about you or your art. You just do things at your own pace, and the more time you spend with it, the better it's going to look. Like, I can draw pretty fast, but I find when I take my time, things look better and I don't make so many mistakes. Because I give myself time to correct those mistakes. So take your time. Things are going to be okay. And if you're doing stuff for a client and things are taking a long time, just tell them. They're not going to be upset if you say, hey, I need a bit more time. They're going to be grateful that you let them know. Because so many times I hear that artists aren't communicating with their clients. And so their clients are like, am I being ghosted? When really, the artist just needs to communicate, hey, I need a bit more time because this came up, or I got sick, or, you know, I had to get another deadline met. You know, it could be so many things. Our lives are busy. But that communication is important. Don't wait till the last second. If you have a feeling that you're not going to be doing your best work in the allotted time you've given yourself, just tell them, need a bit more time. And more likely than not, your client will be understanding. And they'll be like, yep, go for it. And I'm not talking about like a studio job. You know, I'm talking about just like freelancing. It's really important to communicate. And I mean, the more time you spend with your work, like, I think your client's going to appreciate it too and be like, wow, because they took an extra few days, it looks amazing, you know. There comes a point where you need to spend more time with your work, and there comes a time when you need to just say, hey, this is the best I can do right now, and I need to move on. And that's okay. And then you don't shy away from the work you did. You look back at it later and go, oh, I see how I could fix this now. I'm glad I have that knowledge. Happens to me all the time. I'll do a page, I'll come back to it or see it, you know, months later or a year later and go, oh, I know how I could have made this better. And then you just go, cool, I learned that and now I can apply it somewhere else. Or if you're really bothered, you could update that version. I don't always recommend going back and fixing old work, but if that's what would make you happy, and if you repost that and show the differences and you're really proud of them, like, do it. But yeah, try not to get hung up on art, and then try to spend some intimate time with your art. The way you balance that is gonna be up to you. There are times when I'm defeated and I just gotta move on, and there are other times where that's not the case. There we go, we got the white lines. There we go. I like adding the shinies. Shinies are so fun. I do like the panel of Max just being like, toodaloo, jumping in the hole. And I love this Mact. It's one of my better ones. Sometimes Mac's face has a range. And I'm like, no, don't have a range. Just look how I want you to look. Why can't I do it right? It's crazy how slight proportions are. And if you deviate from those, how different someone can look. Like, if you took a picture of yourself and gave yourself more space between, like, your nose and your top lip, you would look like a different person. If you made your eyes slightly closer together or farther apart, you'd look like a totally different person. So to get those proportions exact for your characters can be really hard. There we go, we're doing it. We're doing the screen tones. I'm still trying to learn how to balance how much screen tonage I should use. But I had to look through our previous book a few times because I remember that was the first book I ever screen toned. The first issue in that book is terrible as far as my screen toning capabilities. But like the majority of that book, I was very happy with how things looked. And I realized why I was struggling with screen tones for this book as opposed to book 2. And it's because I was limiting how many screen tone layers I should use. I didn't make the realization until later, but I was like, oh, the reason these panels in this book look so good, at least I think they look good, is because I just use as many screen tones as I needed. I didn't just go, okay, there's the tone you get and that's it. You only get one. Like I would layer those on. I would cake them on. So towards the end of this issue, I just go, all right, I will do my, my main screen tone layers, but then I'm going to add as many more as I need to get the look I want. And I don't know why I lost sight of that, but I mean, that book came out a long time ago now. Like 4 years ago now? Book 1 came out like 6 years ago. I don't draw fast enough. If I didn't screen tone things, maybe it would go quite a bit faster. But I really like the screen tones. Because, like I was talking about with Jing, I wanted to do that someday, and now I'm doing it. So that feels pretty good. So I don't think I'm going to give up doing them. I like doing them. There we go. Sometimes you gotta draw the screen tones in. Yes. And this is how the worst page in issue 13 came to be one of the better pages. Ugh, that panel, he still doesn't have enough cranium. Make sure your people have enough cranium. Otherwise, they're gonna be sad and not think so good. Oh, we're thinking. The brain cells are loading in. There we go. Again, I don't know why I was taking these little pauses. But there had to have been a reason. Again, this was recorded a long time ago. Not in a galaxy far, far away, but pretty close. Oh, I love making comics. They're all so hard. They really do force you to draw so many different things. Being an illustrator is awesome. Being a freelancer is great because you kind of make your own rules as to what you are willing to draw. And I love that. What I love more, though, and hate the most, is that when you draw comics, you just gotta learn to draw everything. You really gotta rely on references and sometimes tracing to get the job done. But you learn so much. You know, there's folks that only draw, characters, and they don't really draw backgrounds, and they're amazing. How much more amazing could they be if they also incorporated, more subject matter or tried those different things? And maybe they do. Maybe they do studies. I mean, we love seeing characters. We really do. That's what we connect with the most. But yeah, there are so many things that I'm like, huh, I never thought I'd have to ever draw this in my life. Even with fantasy stuff, Gotta have those references. Like with the undersea fauna and flora, I needed references to figure out what those looked like. Some of them I just make up, but they are still based on references. You know, or, you know, the big hole in the ground. I keep saying the ground. They're in a ship. The hole in the floor, you know, I had to dig up a reference of a bullet hole through metal to get an idea of what I wanted it to look like, or what it, you know, maybe should look like. So, you know, it obviously isn't a bullet hole in the floor, not the ground, but references help. You use what you need and then you kind of fill in the rest. That's what you do as an artist. But yes, we get to clean up. Yes. Screen toning's fun. It's a pain in the butt because it takes so long. And, you know, you're either stuck with cleaning up or you're lassoing forever. But they look pretty good in the end. And the cleanup is kind of therapeutic. It looks really good and feels good, like just cleaning stuff up. Makes everything come alive. Yeah, we're getting there. Wow, look at that. Look at that detailing. Did I leave it like that? Okay, that's a little better. I feel like it's a bit spotty in some places up there. And present me is not happy about that. Alright, now comes the shadows, which I make with my fancy transparent white layer on top of all the screen tones. I still don't remember how I ever came to discover that, but it's really worked ever since book 2. Sorry if there's Discord stuff in the background. That was not my intention. Yes, I love shading Heb's hair. Yeah, this part is when it all just comes together. Especially when I get the screen tone brush out again and make the soft shadows. Right now we're putting in hard shadows. Usually you put in soft shadows when a shadow is on something that's rounded, or if the shadow is like stretched and kind of really far away from the subject. So, for example, if I was holding my hand like, you know, a few inches above my heart, the shadow underneath would probably be more of a hard shadow, so it'd be very crisp. But if I was holding my hand like a foot away from my heart, that shadow would be very soft around the edges, because it's farther away, if that makes sense. Oh yeah. Now we're adding in a bit more screen tones. Yep, we're putting in all the soft shadows. We're adding some extra details. Blip, 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 blip. remember doing that. Oh, there, that looks better. I wish I could draw this fast. This video is sped up 800%. There we go. There's the lines. There's the tones. We did it, everybody. This was such a struggle bus page, but it's one of my favorites. The struggle is real, and sometimes the struggle is the best. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you next week for more time-lapse goodness. Bye!